Okay, so this is a video for the practice quiz. It will be in chunks a little bit, so just please bear with me. I'm going to try doing this so I can write on the screen. So on the first one, you're going to just simplify. So I have a 9 and a 27. So with a 9, 27, a squared, a to the fourth, b cubed, b to the fourth, and c. I'm going to cancel out what is the same, what's different. So the c's on the bottom, I don't do anything with it. There's three b's on top, 4 b's on the bottom, so I'm going to have 1 left on the bottom. There are 2 a's on top, there are 4 on the bottom, so I'm going to have 2 left over. And out of the 9 and 27, 9 divided by 9 is 1, and 27 divided by 9 is 3. So my final answer, written out in this really cool pen, is going to be not 1. I don't write 1s in front. There's nothing left on top, so 1 there. And then I'm going to have a 3a squared bc. And that's my final answer. On the next one, I have something cubed, so I need to simplify that. So 2 cubed is 8. M cubed is m to the 9th. N squared cubed is m cubed is m to the 9th. N squared cubed is n to the 6th. Negative 18, m to the 5th, n to the 4th. So on this one, I'm going to start on the back side again. N to the 4th, n to the 6th. There's 4 on the bottom, 6 on top, so I'm going to have 2 left over. M to the 5th and m to the 9th. M to the 5th is on the bottom. That means I have 4 left over on top. 8 and negative 18 are both divisible by 2. And so 8 divided by 2 is 4. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So my final answer is going to be 4 m to the 4th n squared over negative 9, and that's it. Final answer. So I circled my answers. Whoops, got that one a little too crazy. Last but not least, I have this multiplication problem. So when I multiply right across from the top. Before I do that, I'm going to rewrite it. So a plus y is the same thing as y plus a. So I'm going to just rewrite this first one in a way that I like it. Oops, wrong button. Y plus a times 4, parentheses, 6 times y plus a. Since those are the same terms and they're being added to each other, I can cancel them out. So now I just have 4, 6. 4 and 6 are both divisible by 2, so 6 divided by 2 is 3. 4 divisible by 2 is 2, so my answer will be 2/3. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move over to the next set of problems. There's some more multiplication, division, simplifying, and everything else. So working on this first one of D. N minus 6, n minus 8. So on the top, I'm going to factor an n out of that. So I'm going to have n to the 5th times n minus 6, all divided by n minus 6 times n to the 8th. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel things out. So n to the 6 cancels with n to the 6. N to the 5th and n to the 8th cancel out. So there's 5 n's on top here. I'm going to cancel that out with 5 here, so I'm going to have 3. I'm going to rewrite this out as n over n cubed. And I can see that I can still cancel things out. 1 n on top with 1 n on the bottom. So my final answer is going to be 1 over n squared. And that's my final answer. On the E, you're going to do keep, change, flip. So it's a division problem, so we're going to keep, we're going to change, and we're going to flip. So I'm just going to rewrite the problem, and this time I'm going to write it in red again. I'm also going to simplify this first fraction. So this cube means I need to cube everything here first. So 2 cubed is 8, x cubed, y cubed, over w to the 6, times, I'm going to flip the second fraction, w to the 5th over 24x squared. Remember in class that I said I like to just extend this bar over, so it's just one big fraction, so it becomes looking like that. So canceling things out, let's see, 8 goes into 24 3 times, so 8 divided by 8 is 1, 24 divided by 8 is 3. W to the 5th and W to the 6th. W to the 5th, there's 5 here, cancels out and leaves me just 1 there. And then the last thing that I have, let me change color here, get another color, go with purple. There's 2 x's on the bottom and there's 3 x's on the top, so these 2 cancels out and leaves just 1 there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite the problem first in a blue so I can just see it. So I have 1 times x times y cubed, so I have an xy cubed, and on the bottom I have a 3w, and I see that there's nothing left to simplify, so I'm just going to highlight that and say that's my answer. So with that, I'm going to erase this and everything so I have room to do F. So please bear with me while I erase things out. So we're going to do another division problem. We're going to keep, change, flip. So we're going to keep the first fraction of 3x plus 6. I am going to factor this denominator and make that x minus 3 times x plus 3 times, I'm going to flip the second fraction. On the denominator, I'm going to factor things out. A factor of 4 out because 4x plus 12. So remember, I'm going to keep, change, flip. A factor of 4 out, I'm going to have x plus 3 on top. So I factored the bottom. On the top, I have an x and a 6. That's going to go to the denominator because I'm flipping the fraction. 6x is going to come out. And I'm going to be left with a x plus 4. X plus 2, excuse me. So I'm going to see what I can cancel out here first before I do anything, and then rewrite. Remember that things with plus signs are a term. Things with multiplication or parentheses next to them, like this 4 times this, can be broken up. So that 3x plus 6, I can factor it out, but I'm just going to leave it as is right now. So I have an x plus 3 on the top, x plus 3 on the bottom, cancel. And the 4 and the 6 can simplify, so 2 divides into both of those. I will use a purple. That's going to leave me a 2 here, and that's going to leave me a 3. My bad. So I'm going to rewrite what's on the top. So, and then I'm also going to factor this here while I rewrite it. So that's going to be a 3 times x plus 2. There's nothing left on top. All over x minus 3 times this 3x times x plus 2. So you can see how more things are going to cancel out. So I'm going to use my black pen to cancel here. X plus 2 and x plus 2 cancel out, and then my 3 is going to cancel out with this 3. So on top I have nothing left. So I'm going to have just a 1 divided by, and the thing I have left on the bottom is I have an x times x minus 3, and if you wanted to simplify that, you can make that x squared minus 3x. Either answer is correct. Oops. So that's what we have there. Moving on to the next question set. G and H. So G and H, I'm going to keep it as multiplication and I'm going to factor. So on the top, I'm going to highlight it yellow. This here needs to be factored. That factors to the difference of squares, w minus n, w plus n. And then this AY, I'm going to use a different highlight color here. Purple. This and this are the same but different. So they're the same with both subtraction, but your variables are switched, so you're going to have to pull -1 out of one of them. I'm just going to pull the -1 on the top one just because I've already got some factoring going on there. So if I pull a -1 out of the a minus y, I'm going to have -1, and then I switch my order y minus a because I'm just doing the opposite. So I'm switching the spots. And then I'm going to rewrite the problem, and it's just going to be one big multiplication problem, w plus n on the bottom and y minus a. And on the top I have -1 times y minus a times w minus n times w plus n. And then I'm going to cancel things that are the same. So w plus n and w plus n are the same. And then, oops, y minus a and y minus a. So what I have left is just -1 times w, whoops, w, not m, w minus n. Or I can have n minus w or -w plus n. I mean, literally, the choices you have are 3, but, you know, you got a few choices. There's your answer. On h, I'm going to bring this over just a little bit for that, and then I'll erase it before I do the LCM, is I have a multiplication problem, but I got a factor. So the top factor, the factors of -24 that add up to be -5 are going to be w, not w, x minus 8 and x plus 3. 5x squared is just 5x squared. And on the bottom here, I don't like the order, but it doesn't really matter. I have a 6x plus 2x, so I'm going to pull a 2x out of both. So on the bottom down here, this is going to be a 2x times 6 plus x. And then I'm just going to rewrite my problem. So the problem is x minus 8 times x plus 3, which is that first trinomial of x squared minus 5x minus 24, times 5x squared. On the bottom, I'm going to have that 2x times 6 plus x times that 8 minus x. Okay, and then this is the problem I'm going to work with. So factoring things out that are the same, I have an x here and I have an x squared here, so I'm going to cancel this x with that squaring. And I got this x minus 8 and I have an 8 minus x. So they're the same but different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top one here, and I'm going to rewrite that as -1 times 8 minus x. Now I have the x's and the x minus 8 being the same. Use purple pen. Those can be canceled out. So on top, I'm going to rewrite it in blue when I get double check myself. -1 times x minus 8. Nope. Try that again. I just canceled that out. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come back here and I'm going to say this here is really that. So I don't recount it, and I canceled it out. So rewrite -1 times x plus 3 times 5x, and that's all divisible by 2 times 6 plus x, or x plus 6, doesn't matter the order. Nothing else can cancel out, so technically these are your answers and any combination therefore of writing that out. I'm going to double check I wrote everything down correctly. Yep, so that would be my final answer. So moving over here to LCMs. LCMs come when you have to add denominators, so everything you did before this is not adding. We are now adding. So we got to get what's the same. Variables as monomials for like 2a are pretty easy. You write down the letters that you have, and then what is your highest exponent. So I have an a, b, c, a, b, c. I have an a, b, c. The exponent of a, I have an a squared and an a, so it's going to be a 2. B cubed and b, highest exponent is 3. C and c to the 4th, the highest exponent is 4. So that's the LCM for number 2. B is done a little bit different. You first got to factor things out so you can see what you have. So you get what you have and what you don't have. So on the first one, I have 2 times r plus 1. On the second one, I'm going to factor an r out. So I'm going to write that in a different color. So the first one I did in red. So that's the first one. Next one I'm going to do in blue. So I'm going to have an r times an r plus 1. And then the last one in purple, I'm going to have an r plus 1. So your LCM is what's the same. So I'm going to use a highlighter and highlight what's the same. Each one has an r plus 1. So in my LCM, I know I have to have an r plus 1. And then the difference is what else is left over. So in the red one, I have a 2. I need to count for that. And in the blue one, I have an r. Okay. So this altogether is your LCM. Or if you want to, you can multiply it out. You would have 2r squared plus 2r. And that would also be your final answer. So remember to do what's the same, but what also is different. So doing the same path again. 3. Second one I'm going to do in blue. So factor out a 2. 2 times w, 2w plus 1. 2w plus 1. And purple for the last one. Those are difference of squares, so I'm going to have a 2w plus 1 and a 2w minus 1. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to highlight what's the same. Same and same. So I'm going to write that down first. So 2w plus 1. That's the same. Then, based on the colors, what do I not have included? So I have a 3 times a 2 from the blue, and then in the purple I have 2w minus 1. Numerical numbers need to be simplified. I don't care if you simplified the back end, but it's just helpful of simplifying your multiplication. Also, you're supposed to. So this would be 6 times 2w plus 1 times 2w minus 1. And that would be your simplified answer. And you could multiply that through as well. Last one is D. So we're going to go colors. I only have 2 colors I need. So I need red and I need blue. So for red, factoring the first one, factors of -6 that add up to be -3, or -1, excuse me, are going to be x minus 3, x plus 2. Factoring the next one, I'm going to have an 8 that adds up to be 6. So in blue, that's going to be an x plus 2 and an x plus 4. Got to factor every single time. So taking a highlighter, highlight what's the same. So I'm going to write down what's the same. It is x plus 2. And now I'm going to write down what's different. I have an x minus 3 from the first one, and then I have a blue that's x plus 4. And that's how you find your LCM. And knowing how to do that gets you right into the next section, which is 3. Okay, number 3, getting a common denominator. First thing to do, I'm going to let you guys know I'm going to do this by colors. So x squared plus or minus 16 is the difference of squares. Oops, wrong color. Factor that. I'm going to have x plus 4, x minus 4. The blue one is just x plus 4. Oops, that's my parenthesis. So as you can see, what's the same is this. So they both have that part, and then what I need is what's different. So the LCM is what's the same, and then what is also different. So in order to make one become the other, I'm going to use green like I did in class. This bottom one needs to be times x minus 4. Okay? That's how they would become the same LCM. So they're the same all the way through. So on my left side, I don't have to do any multiplication for the red one, but on the right side, I need to multiply the top and the bottom technically by x minus 4. So in my denominator, I would have x plus 4 and x minus 4, which is your LCM. As I said, the left side, which I'm going to do in red, 16, I don't have to change, but I need to change that 2 and take it times this LCM part that I was missing. So how do I make a common denominator? You multiply by the top and the bottom. I don't have to show multiply on the top and bottom, but if you want to, I'm going to come up here and erase this just due to room and everything else on a computer screen. You can write out that you would times by x minus 4 on the top and bottom. My pen is not wanting to work right now. There we go. But I don't show that because I did all the math off to the side. So you don't have to show that if you don't want to. I'm okay with doing the work that I've shown here. I'm trying to get back to the LCM. So I need to simplify this here. It's not done, so I'm going to simplify it. I'm going to have on top 16 plus 2x minus 8, all divisible by x plus 4, x minus 4. I didn't change my color because I'm going to simplify and use that awesome multicolored pen. So 16 minus 8 is 8. So I'm going to have 2x plus 8, all divisible by x plus 4 and x minus 4. Now, you'd think you're done, but you're not. Here's the issue. If you can take a factor out of the top, you need to factor something out. These are both divisible by 2. So this really is 2 times x plus 4 divided by x plus 4 and x minus 4. And as you can see, something can cancel out. Since things can cancel out, you need to simplify, which makes these math problems a lot more fun and a lot more steps, which means we're taking everything you've learned this whole chapter and trying to finalize it out. So this is going to be 2 over x minus 4 is your final answer. Okay? So I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to talk about B. Red. Blue. So in order to make them the same, one of them has to lose a negative 1. So blue, if I pulled a negative 1 out of it, I would have m minus 9. Red, I already have an m minus 9. So the LCM, or the denominator that I'm looking for, is what's the same, and then what's different. So my LCM would be m minus 9, and that negative 1. That's what needs to be the same. So what I need to do is on the red fraction, left fraction, I need to multiply it times negative 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take negative 1 times 2 minus 5m plus my blue fraction, or my right fraction, 4m minus 5. And that is all divisible by that LCM. So that's all going to be divisible by negative 1 times m minus 9. Now you can't cancel anything out yet. Just wait and see if you can cancel things out, okay? So what I would do is I would simplify the left side. So negative 1 times 2 is a negative 2 plus 5m plus 4m minus 5. So simplifying this, I'm going to get a 9m. Excuse me, my nose. And that's all divisible by minus 1 times m minus 9. So simplifying it, I'm going to put it in purple and see what we get. Negative 2 minus 5 is a negative 7. 5m plus 4m is plus 9m. All divided by negative 1 times m minus 9. If you wanted to, you could cancel things out. You could pull negative 1 out of the top, or you can distribute it, or I would honestly just leave it. And if your answer doesn't match exactly what it has, I will check it and figure it out. If you do multiple choice and you don't get one of the answers, I would play with the negatives and see what you got. It's completely up to you on that. But if your answer doesn't match something that I have, double check and see, multiply the negatives that you have to go through. So the last thing we have a C on this part, and then we got D, E, F. So I'm going to erase. I'm trying to see if I got some room. I do have room. Let's see. Let's do this. We're going to take this line here. We're going to do the LCM work underneath, and then we'll do the solving over to the side. So, red fraction, factor it out. I have 2 times x minus 6. Blue fraction, factor those. Factors of negative 12 to add up to be negative 4 is going to be an x minus 6 and an x plus 2. Highlight what's the same. So my LCM is going to have what's the same, which is x minus 6, and then what's different. So I have an x plus 2, and I have that red 2 up front. So as you can see, what I need is on the red fraction, I need the blue part, which is the x plus 2. And on the blue part, I need that red 2, so I'm going to multiply by 2. So on the left fraction, red fraction, I'm going to multiply by x plus 2. So I'm going to write down x plus 2 times 5. Put that minus, oops, minus, and then I have that blue-green 2 here, and it doesn't matter which side you multiply on, I'm just trying to do it as easy as I can for what I got going on, times 20. And that's all going to be divisible by my common denominator of 2 times x minus 6 times x plus 2. And I like to keep things broken up because of the fact that if I can cancel things out, I like to be able to see that. So simplifying the left side, 5x plus 10 minus, that's going to come out to be 40. And that's all divisible by my denominator of 2 times x minus 6, x plus 2. So move this up a little bit so I can work with it. Simplify this, I'm going to get 5x minus 30. Write that in blue, purple here. 5x minus 30 over 2 times x minus 6 times x plus 2. Looking at the top, I see that I can factor out a 5 out of both of these. So I'm going to write that down in purple. 5 times x minus 6 over 2 times x minus 6 times x plus 2. Cancel out what's the same. So on the top I'm left with my final answer being 5 divided by 2 times x plus 2. And there's my final answer. Okay. So with that, you can see you've come a long way from the very beginning of simplifying. I did erase that D out, but we've done a lot of work and everything else getting that done. We got 3 more problems. They're going to be the hardest ones, so I am going to erase this here, and then I'll get back into the problem here as soon as I can remember how to get into zooming. Oh, come on, pen. Hi, puppy. Hi, puppy. Sorry, puppy's trying to eat my hair. We're just going to do it with him eating my hair. It's going to be a fun video. Left one. Right one. Odie. Odie.